Queen Elizabeth's death on September 8, 2022 shook the world. She reigned for 70 years and many people felt like a constant in their lives had been removed. In this video, we'll be looking back at the times the late Queen appeared on TV shows. Can you remember one TV show that tried to chronicle the life of Queen Elizabeth? A very popular Netflix show is part of the list. Can you guess which one it is? Everyone knows who Queen Elizabeth is. However, here is a list of things you might not know about the late Queen. She has 2 birthdays. Although Queen Elizabeth II was born on April 21, 1926, her birthday was not formally celebrated until the second week of June. This is based on a precedent set at King George II's birth in 1748. He was born in November, but as the weather was unfavorable for outdoor celebrations, it was decided that he'd have a second birthday at a more appropriate time of the year. She never went to school. Kids who prefer to play indoors all day might find this appealing. Although Elizabeth had private teachers who taught her law, constitutional history, and French, she has, however, frequently stated that she misses receiving a formal education. She was related to her late husband. Both Queen Elizabeth II and the late Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, were great-great-grandchildren of Queen Victoria, making them third cousins. When Elizabeth was only 13 years old, she allegedly fell in love with the prince. The two eventually married in November of 1947. She didn't need a passport or driver's license. Since the British passport was issued in the name of Her Majesty, she didn't need one. All other members of the family, including her late husband and King Charles III, had passports. She was the only person in the United Kingdom who did not need a driver's license. Elizabeth wasn't the richest person in Britain. The Queen's net worth is approximately £370 million, or $430 million. Her wealth comes from her investments, jewelries, and 2 castles. The former monarch's wealth seems small compared to that of many other people in the UK, such as the Duke of Westminster, whose estimated net worth is about £10 billion or $11.6 billion. Now to the TV show you should watch that portrayed the former Queen in one way or another. A tribute to Her Majesty the Queen, BBC documentary 2022. This 90-minute documentary differs from the majority of other factual movies on the Queen's life and times thanks to moving memories from her children. The apparent and genuine affection with which they speak provides us with some insight into their interactions with their mother when they were a family first and a royal second, as there are so few opportunities to view truly intimate moments with the royal family. You can watch this documentary on BBC iPlayer if you're in the UK. Her Majesty the Queen, Channel 4 Documentary 2022. An hour-long documentary by experienced journalist Jon Snow that began on a personal footing. Snow proudly shows a blurry black and white photo of himself and his brothers meeting the Queen when he was 10 years old, 5 years after her coronation. His main memory of the encounter is that it involved repainting the downstairs restroom ahead of time in case one of the royals needed to use it. They did not. He didn't recall much else except that she was small, had a pleated skirt, a hat, and didn't say much. Prince Philip, he said a lot, but I didn't understand much of it, he adds. Snow intersperses the show with additional memories, both his own and those of others, such as his next-door neighbor, a former lady-in-waiting. He strikes a balance between these intimate moments and the official history by recounting with journalistic rigor the most significant events from the Queen's 7 decades as monarch. From her coronation through the controversies of the 1990s, watch the documentary on the UK's Channel 4. The Elizabeth's Coronation in Color, ITV Documentary 2018. The beginning of the Queen's reign may now appear to belong to a bygone era. The young Queen herself commissioned color coverage of the coronation and some more relaxed behind-the-scenes footage to help bring the occasion to life. People who participated in the ceremony were interviewed, including the maids of honor. One of them even fainted. Though we learned that the Archbishop of Canterbury later reviewed her with a swig of brandy in the vestry. The show, hosted by Alexander Armstrong, also included exciting amateur footage of wild street parties held across the UK on the same day. Watch on ITV Hub, UK only, or Netflix. Elizabeth R. A Year in the Life of the Queen, BBC documentary 1992. The producers of this documentary were granted exclusive access to the Queen for a year in 1990 and 1991. It documents private moments and meetings at her various residences and while she is on tour. It's especially refreshing to see her acting and chatting naturally, whether she's joking with Nelson Mandela or batting back a light-hearted dressing down from a Yorkshire retirement home resident. There is also a voiceover from the monarch, who speaks in a much more casual tone than we are used to hearing in her speeches. The only time the Queen has perhaps come close to losing her cool on television is during a brief mother-daughter exchange during which the Queen Mother teases her while they are watching the Epsom Derby. Otherwise, there aren't many royal scandals on display. Instead, you could watch The Crown if you want drama. This shows the calm before the storm because it was shot right before her year of misfortune in 1992. Watch it on BBC iPlayer. Elizabeth, A Portrait in Parts, Amazon Prime Video Documentary 2022. 2022. This 90-minute movie cuts together an archive of the Queen and the times she lived in, switching back and forth in time over the course of her 70 years. It is more irreverent and lively than most royal documentaries while still being respectful. It was the final film directed by Notting Hill and the Duke director Roger Mitchell before he passed away a year ago, and it was released for her Platinum Jubilee earlier this year. It has a new vibe thanks to his approach, which uses cut-up film to construct loosely themed chapters rather than delivering a chronological biography, and helps reduce some of the pomp and circumstance surrounding the king. Visit Amazon to watch this documentary. Elizabeth, Our Queen, Channel 5, 2018. This 7.5-hour, 4-part series ought to satisfy those who want a more thorough overview of her life that covers the highs and lows of her special position in the country. It follows the well-known TV documentary format of combining news archives with talking head commentary from historians, legislators, and members of the royal family. It gives a thorough and sentimental trip down memory lane, even though there might not be many brand new revelations. Watch it on My5 UK only. The Queen, film, 2006. The film, which was set in the aftermath of Princess Diana's passing in 1997, portrayed one of the most difficult times for the monarch when she was seen as distant and slow to react to the mood of the country. Dame Helen said earlier this year that she wrote The Real Queen the following before filming. "We're investigating a very difficult time in your life. I hope it's not too awful for you." She added that she could not remember the exact words. She also said that her research made her respect the Queen more. As for whether the Queen had seen the movie, the actress earlier stated that she was unaware of that, but that she felt that her role in the movie was acknowledged and appreciated. Given that the representation is not always favorable, including for the rest of the family, it is unclear how she came to have that impression. The film is available on Netflix and Disney+. A Royal Night Out, film, 2015. In this 2015 movie, Sarah Gadon, a Canadian actress, played a 19-year-old Princess Elizabeth who, with her sister Margaret, walks out into the streets covertly to celebrate VE Day, the recognized conclusion of World War II in Europe in 1945, a fun and endearing recreation of the princess's nameless night of freedom. It is partially based on the sisters' actual participation in the celebratory crowd on the mall outside Buckingham Palace. However, meeting a handsome airman on a double-decker bus, frolicking across the city with him, and bringing him back to the palace for breakfast with her parents sounds improbable, but the screenwriters of the movie decided to use artistic license to fill in the gaps in Queen Victoria's life. The Crown, 2016 to present. Without mentioning The Crown, Netflix's series that follows the monarch's reign from her ascent to the early 2000s, no discussion of the Queen on screen would be complete. The lead role in the first 4 seasons has alternated between Foy and Olivia Colman. For the 5th, which will debut in November and take place in the 1990s, Imelda Staunton will take over. Despite widespread criticism for its lack of historical authenticity, the series occasionally has the air of a high-class soap opera, emphasizing the alleged drama and strife both inside the royal family and between the Queen and Prime Minister. Have you watched any of these shows or movies? How did you like it? Leave your answers in the comment section below.